Well, on my unsuccessful end, I was a young PFC, and I would be in formation, and my first sergeant, he would look out to the back of the formation and he said, "Shabazz!" And I said, man, I like this Army stuff, man. The first sergeant, man, that's my man. He's giving me a shout out. He loves me. And so after a while, after all the kids were laughing at me, he said, hey, the first sergeant doesn't love you. He's calling you 8 up, right? So I said, well, I got to do something to prove to this man that I'm worthy of some respect. So I went to 5 Soldier of the Month boards. And I failed all of them. As a matter of fact, my friends stopped calling me Shabazz. They started calling me Shazam. Because I would be out of the board so fast, they called me an underdeveloped superhero. Right? But I remember leaving the board. I felt so defeated. I felt so worthless. I felt so empty inside because I didn't think I was smart enough to be in an organization like this. I remember very distinctly, I was sitting outside with my eyes to the floor, and my sergeant major passed by. He rarely spoke to people, he just growled at us. But he looked at me and he said, I want to see you in my office at 1300. I said to myself sincerely and honestly, I said, oh my God, he's going to tell me I should never come back to the board, I should be on trash detail. And that, to be honest, that's what I felt. I felt like. So I went to his office, again, with my eyes dragging the floor, with my head down. And he said, soldier, lift your head up. What is your problem? I said, Sergeant Major, I failed all the boards and my friends, they're teasing me. Could you imagine a big guy like me crying, snotting all over you? I can only imagine what he was thinking. But what he said to me, he said, son, you never fail. And he took me over, I mean the greatest moment in my life, he took me over to a wall. He had a quote by Theodore Roosevelt. He said, it's not the critic who counts. It's not the one who points out how the strong man stumbles or tells the bearer of deeds how he went wrong. He said it's the man that's in the arena whose face is marred with sweat and blood. He said, son, while those other people are teasing you, he said, you are in the arena. He said, I believe if you have the courage and the fortitude, you will sit in my seat one day. And in true Sergeant Major fashion, after he said that, he said, if not, we're going to send you to the house. But I went home and I cried. Or should I say I continued crying, right? Don't let that get out. I'm a tough guy. Right? But I went home and I cried. Because for the first time in my life, at 27 years old, my leader told me that he believed in me. For the first time in my life, somebody told me I was worthy as juxtaposed to being 8 up. My subject today is your leadership a warning or an example? You see, this type of leadership saved my life. It saved my marriage and restored my honor as a human being. Some of you can't even imagine the esteem in which your soldiers hold you. Some of you can't even imagine that some of your soldiers go home at night and practice being like you. So whatever your current position, you have been given an opportunity to affect and transform human life. That should be taken very seriously. I learned a valuable lesson that day through that leader. You see, leadership is believing in people who don't have sometimes the fortitude, the courage, or the background to believe in themselves. I'm going to say that again. Leadership leadership is sometimes believing in somebody that doesn't have the courage, the background, or the fortitude to believe in themselves. You see, until you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at will never change. You have been bestowed a leadership position. What a valuable thing that God has given you. Now, I'm just a chaplain, but I want to tell you I have 4 mandates to leadership. So they're really not mandates because I'm a chaplain, so it doesn't count. No, I'm just kidding. You guys are horrible. Is it because of the Dallas Cowboys? God loves the New Orleans Saints. So the first mandate to leadership is you have to care. General Colin Powell said, the day your soldiers stop bringing their problems to you is the day that you have stopped leading them. They have either lost confidence in you or concluded that you just don't care. Soldiers are absolutely depending on you not only to transform yourself, but to be a change agent for them. Second mandate, drop out of the Ain't It Awful Club. There are 2 types of leaders, in my humble opinion. There are motors and there are anchors. As a leader, I believe you have to be a motor because you have our direction in your hands. We want to believe in you. We want to believe that you believe in us. Thirdly, leadership is about creating new traditions, honor, and helping men and women fulfill their God-given potential. Leadership is about creating an environment where men and women can thrive. You see, this type of leadership woke up a little boy who failed the 9th grade, who was without confidence, who had no self-esteem. But I saw a leader who was an example, and I listened to him, and he changed my whole existence. You see, this type of leadership was in Bethlehem, where a child was born in a manger, in swaddling clothes, because he had leadership around him who taught him how to be a leader. He had nurturers around him who taught him how to nurture. He had a master around him who taught him how to be a master. My 4th mandate for leadership, this is a tough one for us all, but it's intimacy. Now, I'm 6'5", 245 pounds, maybe 250, depending if I go to Krispy Kreme today or not. But my commander is about 5'5", 170. Now, if he sees this tape, he's going to kill me. I think my OER is signed already. But when this man comes to me and says, Chaplain, you're doing a phenomenal job, I want to run through a wall for him. When he comes to me and he sends an email and said, Chaplain, I just want to thank you for what you do. I want to run around like a little kid. I used to go and tell my wife, and she'd say, really, dude? You're 45 with grandkids. You're happy about that? But in all seriousness, when you're commander, people you look up to just pat you on the shoulder and say, hey, I want to thank you for what you do. I see you. I notice what you're doing. You have no idea the impact that you're having on people's lives. Now, in conclusion, okay, you know the chaplain said that it could be another 45 minutes. No. In conclusion, I started out with a story about God. So I have to end with a story about God. Now, everybody who knows me knows that I'm a basketball fanatic. And I still go out there and I play with the soldiers. Well, one day we were in Iraq, and I was driving to the basket, and a soldier, he hammers me. And I'm on the ground, and he looks at me and said, hey, Chaplain, what are you going to do? Pray for me. So I looked to the heavens, and I was looking for guidance on what to do, and I got no answer. So, as fate would have it, 3 plays later, he has the ball, and the lane opens up like the Red Sea, like Moses opens the Red Sea. And he's coming to the basket. I see him, he sees me, and he goes up for a layup, and that's when the answer came. I picked him up and I slammed him to the ground, and I said, God bless you, soldier. We're bringing God to soldiers and soldiers to God. And lastly, I really just want to say, hey,